Howdy folks, Little John in the brewery. Sunday morning. Been a little bit chaotic getting this together. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm doing two stouts. So I'm splitting one batch. Problem is, it's not quite that simple. Yeah, obviously, normally I'll split a batch and I'll do something a little bit different hops, different yeast, play around a little bit. Today I'm splitting this batch, but I'm doing two quite different stouts. I'm doing just a basic stout, and then I'm doing a big Imperial. Now, that's posing some issues with equipment and the process. So I'm playing around with that. So basically, what I was looking to do was start with a base recipe, the base range, which was basically a mix of Maris and Pilsner, about 2/3 Maris, 1/3 Pilsner, bit out, but close enough. Using that as my base, the plan was to just run that in the brew. I'm doing 2 11-litre batches. So the idea was to run basically a 16-litre batch through the brew, take 8 litres off each, and then add to steep my darker grains separately and add them back to the original 8 litres. Which all sounded really good in theory until I actually started really getting into it, thinking, hang on, I've got to boil, I've got to add hops. There's two completely different hop regimes on this. It was like, okay, that's just took the simplicity away from the day a little bit. So I'm still running with the brew, doing the base. I've got 2 pots over here on the floor, which you would have seen, which I've got steeping the grains. So what I'm looking to do is at the end is I'm going to put one batch into one of my big W 19-litre pots. And I will combine that and I'll boil that, stick it on the gas burner, do a standard boil on that on the gas burner, and add the hops. The other will go back into the brew and boil from there. Particularly because this Imperial's got a lot of hops in it, so I don't really want to be trying to boil that, the amount of hops that are in that, in the steeping liquid. On a smaller batch, not too much of a concern, but on such a heavy batch, I don't really want to do it. So let's just have a quick look at some of the rundown on the grains that are in these in the recipe. So, like I said, I've got basic stout, about 48% Maris, 32% Pilsner. So, 11-litre knockout, I'm looking a bit over 1.5 kilos of Maris, just over 1 kilo of Pilsner. Now, anyone on the Facebook will know, so I'm even chasing the on Little John's Facebook. Let's see, the reason I've picked up some grain from a new supplier, Lazy Days Brewing. Big thumbs up to Mick Woodford. He's liaised with me a little bit over the last sort of 6 months as he's been preparing to get his shop up and going, and the sort of things that people might be interested in. And he was quite, obviously he was keen for me to get some gear and have a go. So I've got myself a box of a variety of malts, which certainly stuff I normally wouldn't get. Particularly, I've got some chocolate rice and chocolate wheat and some rye and some carrow wheat as well. Stuff I've never used. So I got these and wanted to bring them into a brew. So I've played around with both of these and got some of that in. So this original brew, Maris Pilsner, I've got some chocolate rye. It's about 9%, so I think that's a nice amount. That's going to get some nice chocolate flavour, hopefully pushing the coffee notes of a normal chocolate malt, whilst also adding in some nice spiciness from the rye and a little bit of body. So that little bit of rye slickness. So that's the thought with that. About 7% flake barley. Never used flake barley itself, so I'm hoping that's just going to give a little bit of creaminess and again a little bit of body to the brew. That's 7%, and lastly some roast barley at 4%. I normally go fairly light on the roasted barley and the roasted malt, with the dark stuff in my stout, so I tend to push it down into the porter range. This time I've gone, no, let's actually do it properly and they have a bit more of a go and actually push that limit a bit more to get some of that stuff, that bit of that roasty flavour in there. So 4% on the roasted barley. So looking for an original gravity of 1060. Now I'm going to be surprised if I actually hit that due to the fact that I'm just steeping these dark grains and they aren't mashing. So it would have surprised me if that drops down to about a 1056, 1057. We'll see how we go. So I am aiming for about a 5.5, 5.6% brew. And that's obviously out of the fermenter, so we're looking for high 5s in the bottle. Both these brews will be getting bottled, neither of these will go to a keg. So I'm pretty happy with that. Nice level for an everyday sort of a stout. So it's going to be run of the mill. Hops on that will be going 8 grams of Warrior at 60 minutes and then 30 grams of EKG at 10 minutes. Warrior's fairly neutral on the EKG just to push that pommy sort of a feel and to support that, the pommy feel. We'll go for some SO4 on the ferment. So 1 pack rehydrated will get that job done. Both brews will be in the ferment fridge at 19 degrees. So. Okay, now second brew, the Imperial. Obviously much bigger. So again, the Maris and the Pilsner, it's bumped up a little bit, but I'm looking 46% Maris, 31% Pilsner. So we're talking 2.5 kilos of Maris, 1.7 kilos of Pilsner for the 11 kilo batch. So the chocolate on this one, I've gone with the chocolate wheat. At about 5.5%. I've gone some crystal medium crystal, and that's just to put a little bit of the sweetness and a little caramel note. And I don't think it's going to really do anything particularly in the brew. But I just want something a little bit there that's sweet, as opposed to what's going to be more, you know, bitter and harsh. And there'll also be 2.8% roasted barley. It's roasted malt. Now, I don't know particularly what the difference is between the roasted malt and the roasted barley. It may just be a case of it's a different maltster, and I didn't actually get that information from Mick, but I've got them both here, and they're considerably different. The roasted barley is a lot darker, and the roasted malt is smaller. So my thinking is that the roasted malt is not going to be as bitter, not going to have the harshness and those really punchy, you know, rip at your mouth roasted notes that the barley's going to get. So I think that's going to tone back a little bit. So that's the difference there. I don't know if this is actually going to show there on the screen. It probably won't, but you can see there's the roasted barley is a lot darker and a lot different size to the malt. So whether there's some dehusking or not, I'm not sure, but that's what that's looking at. So that's what will go into the fermenter. And initially that is going to ferment with 1 pack of US-05 rehydrated, and at the moment I've got a starter sitting over here on the side of Safale BE 256, the dry Belgian ale yeast. I'm going to leave that and going to add that after about 5-6 days. I'll be away next week. Obviously going back to Canberra again on Tuesday morning for another week of the wife's treatments. So I'm going to let this run with the 05, which I'm thinking will probably get through about 2/3 of the sugars in that time. And then the starter will sit here. It will be stopped by then. When I get home on the Friday, I'm going to add a 1 litre mix of 300 grams of amber dry extract and 200 grams of dextrose. And the amber's just to boost the body a little bit in the depth without going crazy on the dark grains, and also just to facilitate a little bit the difficulty I was going to have today with the volumes, trying to get that extra. So in the dextrose, just enough dextrose just to cut a little bit of the non-fermentable stuff down a bit and give me something, trying to keep the mouthfeel under control a little bit. So those two will go together into 1 litre, and I'll basically pop that into a starter for 24 hours, get that BE 256 up and ripping again and really charging along, get that into the brew to finish off to chew through the last of the alcohol. I'm looking at an original gravity of 1.107, and again probably looking at more like 1.1, maybe 1.096, depending on how we go with the steepings, and that's going to be a little bit of an unknown. I'll have to take an initial reading and then cut back based on, calculate the volumes and stuff what's left to see what the final alcohol will be with the extra sugar contribution. If we hit the numbers, we're looking for about 10.7 out of the fermenter, so about 11% in the bottle, so it's certainly a serious brew. And to counteract that, we've got a decent amount of hops for this brew. 22 grams of Simcoe, so 2 grams a litre at 60 minutes. Looking at 35 grams of Columbus at 10 minutes, which is 3.2 grams a litre. And then there will be 30 grams of Cascade with 1 minute left in the boil, 2.7 grams a litre. We'll chill with the chiller at that 1 minute mark, well, after the 1 minute. So IBU is around 78, which is only just pushing over the mid-range for an Imperial at this level, so it's not pushing the hops or not, but making sure there's enough there to balance it up. So that's what we're looking. Ferment is 65 degrees. The mash is at 65 degrees, just a single step for 60 minutes. I'll just do just enough sparge just to rinse the sugars out, and that'll be it. Under temp control in the fridge. So that's it. So we'll leave that for now. We'll get banging on, get some more shots as we go, and we'll come back at the end and we'll have a look at some final numbers and some final samples and see what we're looking at. Rightio. Now, I didn't get much footage of the, no footage of the hops and whatnot going in on the boils. Anyway, bit of mucking around, changing containers, pots and whatnot to get cooling done. What we've got there. And I'm wet, it's raining outside, I've ducked backwards and forwards to the tap to turn the chiller on and off. So, I've just got both batches in the fermenters. The basic ones come well under volume. It's only about like 7, maybe 7.2 litres. It's come up at 1062. I was aiming for 1060. So that's bloody. Reality is I'll probably drop down to somewhere around the 50% efficiency, which to some degree I possibly should have expected. But I thought we might have got more than that. But sample tasted really nice, so I'm just going to stick with that. I'm not going to worry. I was thinking of maybe adding a little bit more water to it, but I really can't do much with that. Just going to leave it where it is. In the Imperial, I've got just under 10 litres, sitting on 1094. This is it here, haven't tasted it yet. But that's probably closer to where I would want it to be. Because I've still got, I will have the litre starter to add to this at the end of the week. So I think that's going to probably get pretty close to volume. It will be probably be a bit under. As I said, that's alright. It's still going to come up pretty good. So that's rich as. Okay, so yeah, happy with that. So yeah, volumes fine on this, fine on the Imperial, not so good on the basic stout. That's where we are. If you play around with things, you don't do things the normal way, then this is what happens. But I'm happy with the beer that's out of these. So these are still sitting at the moment about bloody 30 degrees. I'll get these in the fridge now, and I'll pitch yeast on these later this afternoon. So that's it, done. Little John's lockdown stouts. These will get me through winter and into back into summer this year. So as always, if you've got any questions or comments, stick them down the bottom. Patreons, as always, cheers guys. If you're interested in becoming a patron, have a look down in the link below. Have a look what it's about. If you haven't subscribed to Little John, hit the little red subscribe button down there in the bell so you get notified what's going on. But other than that, that's me for the day. So till I see you again, we're drinking beer, we're talking beer, or we brewing beer. Good brewing.